How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the undisclosed location, definitely not my kitchen. And just like last year, we are back from the reservation and we're going to be going over my fireworks stash for 2021. Now before we do, I want to mention that all the timestamps are in the description, and I want to give a brief preface this time. Number one, I'm only preparing for one show this year, one official show I should say. I'm skipping an official 4th of July show because I don't have an audience, and we've had a very dry early summer, so I don't want to risk it. I have no reason to waste my fireworks. I might as well wait till New Year's when there's snow on the ground and I do have an audience. Number two, the fireworks shortage has affected me. I don't know how it is where you are, but it has affected me and where I shop. And like I mentioned earlier, I shop at Native American reservations. Where I live, I have no access to large superstores, large fireworks retailers, shipping fireworks to my door, nothing like that. My only option for buying fireworks, legally at least, is going to a Native American reservation where the prices tend to be high and the selections tend to be low. But I still think I did all right this year, so without any further ado, let's get into it. So just like last year, we're going to start off talking about the small stuff, and we're going to start off with some firecrackers. We got 2 packs of Navy SEAL crackers from Great Grizzly, and these are just your standard 1 1/4 crackers that can go into water. And like I said last year, I love buying all this small stuff and stocking up on it, not just to have around the 4th and New Year's, but to have year round. And it's not that I can't send a mortar shell up in the air if I wanted to, because I live in the country after all. It's just because this stuff is so cheap, and to me, it's a lot of fun to play with. So I might as well get a whole bunch of firecrackers and a whole bunch of bottle rockets and whatever else to play around with after all. The first pack of these is a leftover, and the second pack is a full one. Moving on, we have a brick, almost a full brick, of some ladyfingers from Dominator. I got these last year, so they are leftover, and I'll tell you what, they're pretty damn impressive. Now, they're not as loud as a standard firecracker. They are ladyfingers after all, but they're pretty damn close. And each strip has 40 firecrackers, each brick has 40 strips. And price-wise, it's comparable to the 40 strips, 60 firecrackers per strip bricks. So you're getting a little bit less bang, but you're getting more bangs. That's the best way I could put it. So it's up to you. I'm really happy with these, and I'm going to keep getting these over the 16 to 40 brick. That's just me. And the last firecrackers we have are these The Beast crackers from Great Grizzly. They're 100 strips, and last year I bought a brick of 50, and I've only used about 5 or 6 since then, so I have well over 40 of these strips left, and they're great firecrackers. They're very loud, they're pretty bright, and they last for a pretty long time. Not too long, not overly long, but I'd say just long enough for a 100 strip. Definitely would recommend the Beast crackers. Now moving on to the aerial items, the stuff that gets you in some serious trouble over in California and whatnot, we have 3 packs of Dixie Whistlers. These 2 are sealed up, and this one is obviously open. These are my favorite bottle rocket. I mentioned them last year. They go up extremely high for just your standard crappy bottle rocket. They whistle pretty damn loud, and they have a very, very good report. And it's not like they're any more expensive than any cheaper bottle rocket. They're just basic budget bottle rockets. But there's a lot of bees. They are great. Definitely would recommend picking up at least 1 pack. I got a couple because they're so good. Last up, actually second to last, Little Evil. This is a 1-inch shell kit, and I've only shot 2 shells out of it so far, and they were both on video. I will leave the different videos linked down below. Actually, I only think I've uploaded one of them so far, so I will link that video down below. And these are, once again, just very fun to play around with. If you do live in kind of a densely populated area, like a neighborhood, let's say, these would be awesome to have, awesome to play with, because they're not very loud. They're not going to piss off the neighbors if you are worried about such a thing. So these are pretty damn good. And they're cheap, too. Last but not least, we have some standard 5-ball Roman candles. you gotta have them. You gotta have at least a couple Roman candles in your stash, right? And these are leftovers, but I always feel like I have to have at least a couple Roman candles in my stash, like I said. So with that out of the way, let's get on to the 200-gram cakes. Now we're getting into the serious fireworks. And you could probably tell that the majority of what I went with this year were pairs. Because I'm only preparing for one major show, I wanted to make sure that I make that the best possible, and that means having multiple cakes, pairs of cakes going off at the same time, rather than just having one single cake. Just adds to a lot more in the sky, obviously a lot faster paced show, a lot cooler show in my opinion. So I'm going to stop flapping my gums about that and start flapping my gums about this. We have a leftover of Backyard Perfection. This is a pretty good cake. If I remember correctly, it's like Crackling Tales. I guess I could read the performance. 19 shot, fast paced, golden brocade crown, willow breaks. Like I said, if I remember correctly, I believe it has like Crackling Tales going up to those breaks. I could be wrong on that though, but what I remember when I watched the video online, this is a pretty decent cake. Now this one I couldn't find a video for, but just because I wanted to get a couple single cakes as well, figured I'd pick this guy up because it was only about 15 bucks. Last Call from Alpha Fireworks. It is a 25 shot. You kind of see the tubes there. I forgot to pull the top off of this one. I apologize. Reading the performance. Purple, blue, orange plus brocade crown. Time rain plus brocade crown. Sounded pretty good. Figured I'd pick up at least one as a little bit of filler. We'll see how that goes. Let's see, where do we want to move to next? The Throw-In from Great Grizzly. I guess I should show you this one. I tore that one apart. It's all still together. The fuses are still intact and everything, but I just wanted to see if I could tell which type of fuse they used, just so I could pace my shows out. Unfortunately, they didn't color the fuse, so who the hell knows. But it's an 8-shot cake. The tubes on them look pretty decent. This was another relatively cheap cake. If I remember correctly, it was also about 15 bucks or so. We get a performance on here. Let's see. Wonderful silver coconut with pink, brocade with pink and green strobe stars, brocade to red and blue moon. So, sounds pretty interesting. I love brocade. Silver coconut to me sounds pretty good too. Should be a good cake. And that's a pair, obviously. I don't want to give away too much as to what I plan on doing on New Year's, but suffice to say that getting pairs of cakes is going to be ideal compared to just getting singles. It's going to be a lot cooler show. You'll just have to wait and see what I have planned. Next up, we have 2 Ace of Spades from Big. These are leftovers that I've had for quite a while now. We'll probably use them this New Year's, finally. But they're 7 shots. They look okay. The last one that I shot off from Big was called Suicide King. I did that last 4th of July, if I remember correctly. I will link down my 4th of July video in the description. And it was okay. It was an alright cake, but nothing too spectacular. I've had this pair for quite a while, so like I said, we'll probably set that off this New Year's. Next up, Bombus from Magnus. Now Magnus is getting to be one of my favorite companies at this point. From what I've seen, they produce some pretty damn good fireworks. They're heavy hitting, they're consistent, the quality control tends to be pretty up there with the other big name brands that you would recognize. So, had to pick up a couple of their cakes, and this one is really damn heavy. Yes, it does have a clay plug in the center, but still, it's just really heavy. 10 shots. Let's see if we get a description. Great breaks of Crackling Tail to Willow with Strobe, Brocade Crown with Time Rain, finale with 3 shots of Crackling Tail to Time Rain, CHRY. Cherry? Chrysanthemum? I don't know. CHRY. But looks pretty good. You can see the size of the tubes on those. On the back here, they give this kind of definitely not biased at all rating system. 8 out of 10. The theme of the effect is Gold Willow. 15 seconds, 80 feet, display angle straight up, and it is a 3 out of 5 on the Pro Index, whatever that means. Got 2 of those. Haven't seen a video of this cake, but it looks pretty good. I have seen a video on this guy, and I'm really looking forward to shooting this guy off. Tsunami warning from Magnus. This is a 16 shot. The description on it: 16 shots, brocade crown along with colorful star tips. 4-shot finale! Exclamation point. This is, I don't want to call it a willow because willows are kind of associated with nishikis nowadays because of all the stuff Raccoon's been putting out with nishiki willows. But the best way I could describe it is, it's not just the standard brocade crown. It's almost like, it's as close to like a silver-ish willow as you could get. I would basically describe the effect as like a nishiki willow, except a lot brighter, like a brocade crown, but it has the rain effect that the nishikis have. It's a really cool cake. Check it out. I'm not very good at describing this stuff because I'm not at all professional when it comes to pyro. I just like having some fun. But check it out. Tsunami warning from Magnus. Last up on the 200 gram cakes, we have 3 of these. Angry American from Great Grizzly. 12 shots. If you saw my 4th of July video last year, you would know this is my favorite cake. I hadn't shot it until last year, but it impressed me so damn much that I got 3 of them. 2 for a show and 1 just to have on hand in case they stop making them next year for whatever reason. But basically, it's 12 shots, but they go up 2 at a time, and they're big, man. They are really big. If we get the official description on here, 12 shots, red to brocade, sea blue to brocade, red to silver, CHRY once again, sea blue to silver, CHRY, lemon to brocade, purple to brocade, lemon to silver, CHRY, purple to silver, CHRY. In my opinion, a much better description and a much easier description to write would have been something along the lines of 6 2-shot volleys and then list the effects per volley. Because that's essentially what it is. 6 total volleys, 2 shots apiece. Each volley has 2 shots of the same effect. But however you want to describe it, this is an awesome, hard-hitting cake. Would definitely recommend it. At least pick up 1 or maybe 3. With all that out of the way, let's start talking about the 500 gram cakes. And just like that, we're talking about 500 gram cakes. Now we're going to start off with the new cakes that I got this year, which are these 2 here. Obviously they're a pair. Military Tribute from Magnus. This is a fan cake. They go 3 shots at a time, just boom, 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 and then they go up. And then once that's finished, boom, 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 next one goes. There's videos online of it. You could see the size of the tubes and the angle of them. Looks pretty damn good. The videos look very promising. And if you wanted an awesome intro to your 4th of July show, this would be perfect. Its theme is red, white, and blue, and it's pretty big too. Let's see if we could get a description. I'm not going to read the entire description, but just go off of what I said. We do have the, I'll just show you the side here. You do have that rating system, once again, that Magnus uses on some of their cakes, and you could probably read the description there if you wanted to as well. But suffice to say, it's a good cake. I'm really looking forward to setting these guys off. Now these guys are both leftovers from last year. If you watched my video last year, you would probably know that. Number 1, America First from Raccoon. This is a killer cake. I haven't seen it in person yet, unfortunately, but from what I've seen, this is a really cool, fast-paced cake. If you haven't seen it yet, there are tons of videos on it online. Definitely go check it out if you can. Next up, and I know I'm moving through these pretty fast, but there's videos for all of these online, and they have all been talked about ad nauseum by other people, so I don't want to talk too long about them. Last but not least, Academic Pyro. This is one of Dave over at Display Fireworks 1's signature cakes. Once again, this is another leftover. And this is what I would describe as a show in a box. 54 shots. You can see you got small shots, you got big shots, and it takes a little while. I don't remember exactly how long the video was, but it was somewhere around 45 to 50 seconds long. Maybe that's a bit of an exaggeration, but it's a long cake. So if you're the type of person that just wants to get 1 or 2 cakes and then like a shell kit or something, this would be a pretty good addition to just kind of space stuff out a little bit and fill some time. Might light this one off on the 4th of July, we shall see. And with all the cakes out of the way, we're going to move on to the shell kits. And now it's time to talk about mortar shells. And I'm going to set this guy aside so that we can talk about the leftover canister shells that I have from last year. Now I have a fair amount of both Magnus Dictator as well as Raccoon Fight for Independence shells. And when I say a fair amount, I would say about 12 to 15 total. I just don't want to bring them all out and set them on the table, so I have one of each can to represent them. Both of them are great kits. Out of each one, I would definitely say that the Dictators are the best shells that I've ever shot off. That's not saying too much because I've only fired, I would say 5 or 6 different canister shell kits. So I'm not the best test sample, but these were really big, really good shells. Would highly recommend Magnus Dictators. Now, moving on to the last, final leftover that I have, Unleash the Beast from Great Grizzly. These are some ball shells, and these are the only ball shells I have this year, because unfortunately, they were a casualty of the fireworks shortage. On the reservation where I shop, the only ball kit that I can find on the entire reservation was 12 shots for $24. It was an assorted kit, and they didn't even look like real ball shells. They looked like the fake ball shells. So I'm not going to waste my money on that. Thankfully, I bought an extra kit last year, and these are true, honest-to-goodness ball shells, and they're just phenomenal. They have great effects, very symmetrical breaks. I have never been disappointed with a single one of these shells. I'll also show you, I mentioned this last year, I don't tend to use the cardboard mortar tubes unless I'm doing like a redneck rack of only ball shells, but look at how thick that tube is. If, once again, you're the type of person that just buys a couple different types of fireworks, maybe a ball shell kit, the standard backyard hobbyist, this would be an awesome kit for you. Very solid tubes, great shells, and reasonably priced too. Last year it was about $15 for this entire kit, and two tubes as well. Would highly recommend you pick up at least one Unleash the Beast kit. Now we're moving back over to canister shells. And we got some competition for those Magnus Dictators, starting off with Magnus Ghost Killers. Now these Ghost Killers, they are a 4-inch shell, but just to dispel the myth, there is so much debate online about whether 5/6-inch canister shells are better than the traditional 4-inch, but let me just explain it to you. The max amount of powder you can have inside of a shell is 60 grams. It doesn't matter if it's 4-inch, doesn't matter if it's 5, doesn't matter if it's 6. 60 grams is the max. And I've seen at least one video of someone taking one of these shells apart. I think I might have seen 2, but one for sure. And it was about 56 grams if I remember correctly. So about as close to 60 as you could get without having a 6-0 on the scale. So these are going to be some damn good shells, and I'm really looking forward to trying them out. I've seen some videos on them, and they look awesome. Now this one, I'm not totally sure about. I got this on a recommendation because when I go to these stores, I like to ask the people working what their recommended shell kit, cake, etc., what their favorite product is, especially if it's stuff that I don't recognize or haven't seen videos for. And this year, the only shell kit that I recognized on the shelf were Ghost Killers. So I asked the guy working what his favorite shell kit out of all the ones out there were. And he said that these end games were the biggest and highest breaks that he has ever seen in a consumer shell kit. And I said, well, You were the same guy who told me that these Magnus Dictators were good shells, and I'd say they're the best shells I've ever had. I'm gonna take a kit. And I haven't set one off yet, so who knows? Maybe they're duds, maybe they're not that good. But just feeling the weight of this shell. Obviously, there's some clay in here to plug it up and some different stuff, but there would have to be a lot of clay inside this shell to compensate for the amount of weight. Comparing these two, there is a definite difference in this shell. Now, I'm not going to break it open to see exactly how much powder is inside here, but if you're lucky, I might include a video of these two shells going off in this video.
Holy crap, that's a good shell.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have for you in this video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing the video with someone you think also might enjoy it. YouTube doesn't really help me out in terms of sharing my video in the algorithm, so I have to rely on you guys to share it for me, and I would really appreciate it if you would do so. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments below, and please subscribe to see my New Year's fireworks show, because this year is going to be a lot bigger than last year. With all that being said, thank you once again, thank you for watching, think for yourself, shoot straight, and I will see you next time. As a quick addendum to this video, I just wanted to show off my final fireworks stash. I made another trip down to the reservation a couple days ago, but I just don't have enough time to film an entire new video to include these guys. But you can notice I have 2 bling blings, a stone to the bone, a willow explosion, watermelon moonshine, I got a festival ball kit from Black Cat, 2 rifle range aheads from World Class, another military tribute, 2 crazy horses, another tsunami warning, and some rockets that I'm not necessarily going to share with you guys the branding of. But suffice to say, I have a wonderful stash. Thank you guys for watching once again. Subscribe for more. And if you have any comments, leave them down below. Thank you for watching. Think for yourself, shoot straight, and I will see you next time.